20. We will start the Pledge of Allegiance. 3, 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the
republic for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I apologize for my seating. I did not think of that. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Cash, your board recognitions. Can we start with acknowledging that you have a new doctor on your team?
United States of America.
Cash, can you hear me? He's not hearing me.
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Mike Lucci, we're having some complications with Dr. Cash.
Yes, can you hear me, Sharon?
I can hear you now.
I think I'm going to have to give you a call, Dr. Cash.
Yes, colleagues, can you hear me?
Lucci is saying he's going to call you. Dr.
Yes.
Cash, me now? Are we on the same time?
I'm good.
Okay, we're ready for board recognitions, if you can do it. And your superintendent's update.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can
All
hear
right,
you.
can you hear me? All right. I have an extraordinary. All right. I have an extraordinary.
We've got a problem.
I have an extraordinary video.
Dr. Cash, you're going to have to stop. I'm going to give you a call, okay?
Kelly.
Dr. Cash, we've got Mike Lucci is going to call you. We have a technical difficulty. Okay? So until he gets on.
Mike. But tell Mike he needs to start the video.
Okay, Mike, just start the video. We're having technical difficulties today. He's in the process of calling you, I'm sure.
Okay.
I think you got to get you closer to the router.
Okay, Mike, start the video then. And I'll come in and I'll just call in and speak in. As long as they can see me, I'm good. And you just start the video. All right.
All right. We're moving forward. Sorry about that.
Give me that so I can speak to it.
Don't forget your mic is active.
I think Dr. Cash needs a hotspot.
Hello? Are you there?
Yes, we're here. But are you?
Okay, so Sean P. Kelly.
Your video, we can't see it yet. Where's the
Is one of our essential workers. Hello? Apparently I'm delayed. Are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, so Sean P. Kelly.
Your video, we can't see it yet.
Is one of our essential workers. Apparently I'm delayed.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, we're here.
Okay, so Sean Kelly. All right, what's the problem? It's one of our co-workers. Apparently I'm delayed.
Okay, so Darren Brown, are you there, Darren?
I'm on the phone, yes.
Okay, until we get Dr. Cash straightened out, can we move forward with you assisting us with this? Sorry, Dr. Cash, we've got to get you the phone. Can you at least get on the phone? Mute your computer. Hear you. You yet, Dr. Cash? I see you've got your phone up. Put the speaker on. Okay, it's okay. We're working this out. We'll perfect this before long.
Okay, I think we got it sorted out. He had to turn off everything that was on his laptop, mute his mic and his speakers, and
Okay.
he's going to dial in now. So I'm going to start the video, and then we'll see. Hopefully we get better from here.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you.
Yep.
Oh, yes, Dr. Cash, I can hear you.
You and colleagues, these are our essential workers. Food service workers have been working, as you know, tirelessly since the beginning of this closure period, and they made that video. They made that video and sent it in to us after your request last week. So I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, but certainly, colleagues, in your own way, if you want to thank our essential workers for the public tonight, this would be the opportune time to do so. I can't be more proud of certainly of our workers, and they literally put themselves on the front line for our children and families.
Okay, do we have any board members that would like to say something to our frontline workers? Okay, Larry Scott to start, and Revere next.
A quick thank you to all of them. Truly unsung heroes, our frontline workers, potentially risking their lives, their health. It is so much appreciated, all of them, and everything that they're doing to make sure that our families and our kids are well fed. Thank you.
Next, Ann, and then followed by Lou, and then Kathy. Sorry, Ann, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Ann. Sorry. Back to Ann. Okay. Go with Lou next.
Okay. On behalf of myself and all the parents and families and students in my district, we truly appreciate all that you do during this pandemic to make sure that everyone is well fed. I'm sure that for many of us, it's a welcome respite to get out of the house and to see somebody else as well. We truly appreciate everything you do. Thank you, and thank you again.
Dr. Cassie Evans Brown.
Echo what Lou just said. We appreciate all of you, what you've done and continue to do. So on behalf of myself and the East District, we appreciate you and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, please take your hands down once you've spoken. Okay, Ann, I want to try her again. Ann, are you okay?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can. Ann, go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you for your patience. I just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you. I don't think we can thank any of our essential workers enough. I appreciate everything they're doing to support our students and our community.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure whose hands up. I believe Terrence, you were next. Terrence, we cannot hear you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Lou, you want to come back up again, Lou? Okay, let me go around one time. Terrence, can you speak?
Can you hear me?
Right, and then I think Hope was next.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I would just like to say to our food service workers, our security guards, our nurses that came in 3 times a week and more to help our children, getting up 7 o'clock in the morning. Our prayers are with you every single day, and that words can't describe, what you have done for our community, our children, our families of the city of Buffalo. And I thank you with all my heart. And every day we will continue to pray and uplift you guys. Thank you for helping us.
Okay, Hope, was your hand up?
Yes.
Next.
Me now?
That's your next.
Okay. So I just want to say to the essential workers, I live with an essential worker and I know how brave you all are. You're the people who went in when nobody else was going to work, and you're the people that kept everything going when the rest of us were staying home doing what we could do. So, and I know a lot of you are also parents, so I think it's an extra special person who is willing to put themselves at risk to take care of the students in our district and also, for your own children. So thank you so much for everything you've done, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you. Next will be Paulette, then Jennifer Macuzzi, and then, okay.
Is my mic unmuted now?
Yes, Board Member Woods. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. For the parents and the residents of the Central District, I want to say that in this third poorest city in the nation, thank you, workers. You've stopped people from being hungry. You made a serious difference for our families and our children. To the nurses, thank you for putting yourself out there to protect our children, and to even the teachers who are calling and delivering. Thank you. And to the parent groups, MVP, who is also out here distributing food. Asked you because you make the city of good neighbors look good and you save lives. God bless you.
Board Member Woods. Board Member Makuzi.
Hello. I also, there's a lot of thank yous to go around for not just the essential workers. These folks, as Hope said, there's a lot of parents out there. Sometimes you don't have the choice, but whether you have the choice or you don't, you're still there day after day doing what needs to be done. I would also like to thank, once again, everyone in this district who has to go into work every single day to make sure that everything is running. Is it perfect? No. And nothing is going to be perfect at this point. It's something that the whole world is recognizing. But Buffalo is standing strong. I'd like to definitely thank those who are working to feed our communities. I also, representing the West District, there's quite a few hurdles just where, language barriers and things come into play. So those folks who every day, you need those translators and folks to be able to, really communicate with a lot of our different, we have a beautiful city with a lot of diversity, and we've been able to communicate with everyone, and that's, that's commendable in itself. So, on behalf of myself, the West District, just Buffalo is awesome, and you guys are proof of that. Thank you.
Thank you, President Makuzi. I just like to say, to everything that was said by our board members, and I really can't emphasize enough how important you are, our district and our survival during this period of time. Our nurses, our food service workers, our security officers, our volunteers. I want to give a particular shout out to Bridget O'Brien Woods and her staff. Bridget shared with me that when she can't sleep at night, when she realizes how many children lunches are not being served during this period of time, when we are typically used to serving upwards of 29,000. She worries. She says she has a hard time sleeping at night with that. And that speaks to the love and commitment that all of line workers have. And we are nothing without you. I think this country has learned one good lesson. And I hope America, particularly all who have been disenfranchised with the urban school district, that they understand that it is important. Rural America, urban America, attention to what's going on in urban America as far as education, because these are the people. And trust me, I don't know if I'll live to see it, but the next time it comes around, hopefully it won't come back this fall, but hopefully you'll understand why you're vested, be involved in making sure that our children receive the education that they receive so that they can be the great people that support us in times of need as such. So thank you, Dr. Cash, for doing that. I really think when it's all said and done, we really might think of doing a wall of fame or something, a plaque or something that acknowledges everyone who put themselves in harm's way for this district to make sure that we kept it moving during this period of time. I really think that that's important, that we do something like that we memorialize something like that. That said, Dr. Cash, I'm turning it back over to you for the superintendent's update. Thank you, board members, for your heartfelt expressions.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues, for that. I appreciate it. I would like to just make a fine point so you can remember it. We are almost at 1,200,000 meals served to date and across 28 school sites. And so I really think that that's a benchmark for all the schools across the state. I think that's really, really special. All right, here are 5 points pretty important ones that I would like to just give you a brief update on each. Remote instruction, as you know, is going on with a lot of gusto and in earnest. And I really appreciate all of the teachers. They also are a yeoman group and hero group in my mind and all of our mind during this time. Those that have made that special effort to, on a daily basis, reach out and not only try to teach our students during this time, but also to check on their wellness and check on their social emotional condition during this time. But one of the points I want to say that it just happened this week is that the advanced placement exams took place, and the college board has written us a letter commending the district on its partnership and how we work together during this time to make sure that all of our students in AP courses were able to take their exams, and it went off without a hitch. So I just want to give kudos to all of those staff that have been able to do that work on behalf of our students and families. That's special. So that means that we haven't stopped. We won't stop. We're going to keep going right on through the summer and into next year to continue to perfect our remote teaching and learning capacity. In the area of student tracking, we finally have gotten all the kinks and hitches out of our survey 2.0. And by Friday of this week, we will have a complete week of data that I will begin to unpack for you and give you what this report can tell us. Who we've reached, who we've been able to contact, who we haven't been able to contact, and what the plan is going forward for those that we have not been able to contact. And then next, and perhaps most importantly, what is the nature of the engagement that is going on when we do reach students, and what kind of work and achievement and expectations do we have for ourselves as staff and for our students as learners? So the expectations haven't changed. The compassion is higher than ever, but we still must work to learn. We can go further than ever before if we keep envisioning what could be, rather than worrying so much about what we can't do or what hasn't happened so far. Let's work on what we can get better at and what could be in the new world that is to come. I want to give third a very special commendation to all of our principals. We couldn't have gotten to here without our principals. I'm so pleased and proud of how they have stepped up to encircle, if you will, all of their students as if they're their own children. Each one of those children in each one of our principal schools, they hold themselves accountable for, they're checking in on a regular basis, and they're holding all their teachers accountable in their school. They know who is working hard on this every day, and they know a few that may not be doing all that they could be. So I really want to commend principals for taking action appropriately in each and every case, and they are stalwart. They are the soldiers that help in getting all of this done. So thank you, principals. Two exciting announcements. Wellness Week is coming up, and that is the week ahead. We have an outstanding young lady in charge of this, spearheading this in Mai Nigan, and she's really got activities, online, virtual, and exciting activities each and every day. This Saturday there will be a big activity that'll be occurring. She has a wonderful interactive poster and kind of I don't know, it's getting ready to go live, and we'll send it to you. But if you touch on it, you can actually open it up and it'll show you the activities and the schedule for the week ahead. So keep in mind Wellness Week, and I invite and encourage you to participate in these activities that are coming. Last but not least, under my report, I would like to share with you that the Parent Summit is going to be perhaps better than ever. There's tremendous excitement out there among our parents for the schedule of courses, schedule of sessions that we're going to have that help parents during this time of the coronavirus. They're going to help them work more effectively even with their children at home. A lot of sessions around that. And the parents themselves have asked for quite an array of sessions and topics to be introduced and help each other. Parents will be also giving sessions to others as we see best practices emerge from our parents and households on what they've been able to do. So it's a great give and take, as the bargain has always been about. And I want to give kudos to Ramona Reynolds and her team for planning yet another outstanding Parent Summit. So a lot of things are happening, exciting, and let's get involved and continue to support our most important constituents, our children and their families. Thank you, President Cotman.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. And I still want to recognize the personal commitment that you and your staff also doing as far as work and getting the job done. Particularly, you shared with me that it's sort of difficult because your grandbabies, you would like to be around them.
Yeah.
What I want to tell you is that they know that you love them, but you have upwards of like 30,000 children who need you as well. So they got to share Grandpapa with us, okay?
That's right.
Thank you, Dr. Cash.
That's right. One day I'll be able to come outside.
It's okay. I mean, it gets difficult. Stay in there. I'm letting you know. You better come out sometime. Thank you. We're going to move forward.
Okay.
Before we go into our comments from our speakers, Darren Brown, would you be kind enough to share what and our audience what the procedures are now for people being allowed to speak meetings going forward, as far as them calling in and how it's going to be handled?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Board President Cotman. So on our district web pages, under the Board of Education tab, under public participation, the directions are listed there. The new telephone number to call to be added to the speakers list is 816-3658. Once that is called, I'm sorry, excuse me, one moment. 3568, 816-3568. Once you call that number, if no one answers, you are able to leave a message. We will call back and confirm, and we will add you to the speakers list. After that time, at the board meeting, we will do very similar to what I am doing now. When it is time for speakers, I will call the speakers from this phone right here so that the board members and the public can hear the speakers as they speak for their 3 minutes. That will be the process going forward.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Mike Lucci, would you take down the superintendent's update? Darren, I'm about to read our request of our speakers. If you would go ahead and make your first phone call. At this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. Speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally on the air. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. The board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, and that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district's mission. And the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you for joining us. Our first speaker is Fix Dominguez, who is a parent, and her topic tonight is parent involvement. From Rachel.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, President Cotman. Ms. Fix Dominguez is on the phone. Ms. Fix Dominguez, your time starts now.
To make a public comment. I appreciate that the board is making every effort to hear from constituents during the pandemic. My name is Rachel Fix Dominguez. I am a parent of a BPS sixth grader, a graduate of BPS myself, and currently I'm one of the co-chairs of the Buffalo. I want to begin by offering my best wishes to everyone in the BPS community for the health and well-being of all of your families. There, of course, and I truly hope that you are all keeping well. I wanted to make a public comment today because there is a lot happening to and with our school system right now. It's critical that we work together on the education bargain to ensure that children are cared for during the pandemic. Because I want to see adequate resources go to students. I want to see children in every building or home get the kind of education they deserve. Not within a single school, because I want the equitable distribution of resources across all of our schools. I have always advocated for this, and I always will. The only way to get to all of the actors in the system, this means building coalitions. And being in coalition is not easy because we don't always get the exact results we would choose if we were on our own. Again, founder of Sweet Honey in the Rock has written one of the best articles I've ever read on coalition politics. In 1981, she wrote, "We've pretty much come to the end of a time that is yours only, just for the people you want to be there. And only be with people who are like you. It's over. Give it up." The coalitions we form during this time will be filled with people who are, in one way or another, different from us. But we can't let that stop to shore up resources like never before. We have to invest in our public infrastructure and stop the privatization of education. Public good like education ensures greater and greater inequity. We know this from decades of data as corporate education reformers have tapped more and more formally dollars and lined the pockets of those who are participating in the quote-unquote education market. Who are looking to make money off public education will use a crisis to erode the system. We've seen it happen 2 times a day. This happens with students who are in the least equitable arrangements to begin with. As a parent, I want access to what I did as a student and to what my son has. All children deserve that. Privatizing education and leaving it up and what's equitable will not work. If it would have, we'd have unprecedented crisis, unprecedented opportunities together to increase equity. I look forward to holding up my and doing just that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yes, we appreciate it.
And Mr. Dr. Brown Hall?
Yes.
Our next speaker, have you been able to contact them?
We'll call them. Is Dustin Booth. We'll call right now. If I can make one request, Ms. Cotman, is that everyone who's not speaking, if you can please mute your line, because a lot of times you get feedback, you're not able to hear the callers clearly.
Board Member Hope J requested that earlier, so please everyone follow that.
You are the next speaker for the Buffalo Board of Education. Your time starts now, Mr. Booth.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling. I hope everyone's doing well and these uncertain and unprecedented times. Thank you all for considering a resolution before you regarding the school safety zones. We've all received a letter from me, an email from me, from my hat as Executive Director at GoBike, talking about how youth are disproportionately impacted by traffic crashes in our city. GoBike and myself is fully in support of this resolution. I also want to come at it from a different angle. I'm a parent of two daughters that have gone through going through Buffalo Public Schools. I have two of them have gone through Public School 32, Bender Park Montessori over at Clinton Street. And just a quick story. In that district, for over a decade, my oldest daughter, who is now a junior just finished her junior year of college, who graduated from Punch Tech, was in elementary school at the school when we began working with the school and the community to identify ways to make it safer for the in addition to the fact that so many of the kids, particularly at that school, walk into downtown and on field trips and whatnot. And doing so, that was over a decade ago. And just this past spring, we met with the city's Public Works Department through looking at plans for actually moving forward with the construction project in front of that school. So it's been well over a decade since my oldest daughter was there. My graduate and move on from the school. But this is just, just highlighting the fact that even with consistent parent involvement and engagement in the situation and helping to identify plans to do community engagement, identify resources, that it's been well over a decade just to improve the sidewalks, crosswalks, and basic safety infrastructure around my daughter's school. And so this resolution, I think, is incredibly important. So but can be done for all schools around the city and done in a proactive and strategic manner that really focuses on making it safe in our communities. And so I thank you for your consideration of this resolution, and I hope you all vote in favor of it, and we can continue to work with the City Council and the Public Works Department to continue to move this issue forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. We appreciate your comments.
Yes, I would like to, excuse me.
Have a good evening.
You too.
I would just like to say his name is Justin and not Dustin. Justin Booth.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd.
I'll get the next person on the phone. Give me one moment. President Cotman.
Hello?
Hi, is this Krista Palgett?
Yes, this is her.
Hi, you are the next speaker for the Buffalo Board of Education this evening. Your time starts now.
Okay, I just wanted to call and encouraging the city to use revenue produced by speed zones to make streets around the school safer for students. I feel it's not enough to lower speed limits. We need to make it uncomfortable to speed with infrastructure such as tree-lined streets, maintaining the trees, and narrow the street rate, also sidewalk repair and crosswalks. So I just would like to maybe use the speed zone money to make the streets around the school safer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Palgett, for your comments. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Board Member Cotman, Board President Cotman, I'll get the next speaker on the phone.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I want to thank the speakers so far who have spoken in regards to, has addressed the board with their concerns and figure this out as we move forward on how we can a little bit more smoother. So we'll work with that.
Board President Cotman, Ms. Kristen Smith Armstrong is on the phone. Ms. Smith Armstrong, your 3 minutes start now.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to first thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight and for the continued support of BPS children and families during these last few months. My name is Kristen Smith Armstrong. I'm the parent of 2 children who attend Buffalo Public Schools. I have a second center and a 5th grader at City Honors. As a parent of children who frequently ride their bikes to school, a Buffalo resident who walks and bikes, public health practitioner, I'm calling tonight to express my support for the traffic safety and school safe zones resolution. Currently, both my children attend schools located on or near high traffic streets where speed and congestion. The existing infrastructure near their schools and many other schools in the city, including street design, timing of traffic lights, street location and type of crosswalks do not currently provide for safe, pedestrian-friendly crossing of them. Students, parents, and teachers who walk to school get dropped off or dropped transitioning during fire drills or to open spaces for recess or outdoor learning frequently encounter speeding cars, cars pulling in and out of parking spaces, and lack of adequate space on the sidewalk. Crosswalks are often lacking basic indicators such as high visibility paint markings on the street and working pedestrian crossing signals. As outlined in the resolution, motor vehicle traffic injuries are the leading cause of injury-related deaths in Erie County. Crashes. Children under the age of 18 were disproportionately hit by people driving cars in the city of Buffalo, involved in 26.5% of all motor vehicle crashes with people walking and riding bikes. Impact behavior and outcomes, and the current design and condition of the streets and sidewalks and the lack of bicycle facilities in many of our school zones and the neighborhoods around our schools place our children at risk. I hope that you will join me in the creation of a joint working group between the Buffalo Public Schools and the City of Buffalo. Increased safety of our city's residents who walk, bike, or use mobility assistance devices, such as wheelchairs or scooters, can be realized through collaboration of education and equitable enforcement of the violations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith Armstrong, for your comments during the speaker's time. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You also.
Thank you, Kristen Smith Armstrong. We appreciate your comments.
I'll get the last speaker on the line, Board President Cotman. Board members, I have Ms. Donna Stepien on the phone. Ms. Stepien, your 3 minutes begin now.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm very concerned that the speed zone at schools be retained, and I do want that 15 miles, if I could put in my vote, per hour speed limit from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. every school day at all schools. I think if it's different in front of different schools, it's confusing for people. If it's consistent and it runs till 5 p.m., I think that would probably be the best thing for everyone, especially for the school children. I've worked at schools. Right now I'm working in an after-school And kids are at school until 5 p.m. It's not only during the school day. There are kids who do after school. There are kids who come to school. I've seen kids come to school at 7 a.m. to work with teachers before school starts. 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. every school day in front of every Buffalo school is the best way to go. I also think it's good not only for the students, but it's good for the people. It's good for the drivers. I'm very concerned that there are people who actually, I have witnessed people who've the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit. I was walking to School 79 one day shortly after the speed limit was instituted, and a school bus was going quite a bit faster than 15 miles. It was probably going maybe 25 or 30. And I motioned with my hands and I mouthed, "Slow down." School bus driver stuck his middle finger up at me. I think we need to change the culture. I think we need to change the culture of how we drive in Buffalo, and I think that needs to be a child who is going to school and who deserves safety and support from every member of our community. So that's all I have to say, and I really appreciate the opportunity to say.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stepien. We appreciate your comments.
Have a good evening.
You also. Thank you. Board Member
Dr.
Cotman, Board President Cotman, to your earlier point, we will work to make the system a little bit smoother and see what we can do to integrate more of the speakers into the actual, so you'll be able to see them on the screen also. We'll try to work on that too, okay?
Okay, thank you. Anything that you can do here, appreciate that. Dr. Cash, would you like to respond to the speaker?
Yes, very, very quickly, colleagues. I thought Rachel Dominguez was eloquent, as always, a spirit bearer for what we believe in here in the Buffalo Public Schools about equity and equity of resources for all of our children all of the time. We're going to be challenged on that principle in the near future, but it's certainly encouraging and heartening to hear that our parent community will be in that fight for us in the long haul to continue to bring that about for our children. So thank you, Rachel. The other four speakers, I really want to commend them for being on the same messaging that we all have about the speed zones ordinances for the city. Our schools are active all day long and sometimes into the evening. And so we need to be very cautious and alert around the school zone. So I applaud the city and the mayor for these ordinances, but now let's all get on the same page and adhere to the law. So thank you for all of you for speaking in our meeting and for your messaging.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. So we're going to continue with our agenda. This item is on, there's a resolution on our, further down into our meeting to discuss, and I'd like to leave it at that point because I would like, thank you, Dr. Brown Hall, for helping us. I would like to leave it there because I think it deserves a amount of time, a decent amount of time for us to discuss it. And I'd like to leave it there. I would move it up and have us vote on it at this point, but I think today we need to just follow our protocol and get our bearings together on what we're doing. I would appreciate if I can have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Acknowledge, please, by with your hand coming up. Jennifer Macuzzi and Lou, thank you very much. And by Kathy and Paulette, Dr. Brown and board member. Okay, moving forward, let's start with our committee reports. Who would like to go first on that? Okay, someone. Paulette Woods, would you start it off today with your finance and operations?
Okay, we had the Finance and Ops meeting, a week or so ago. And the budget was presented briefly. It had been posted just a couple hours, so we didn't have a lot of questions that we could ask, but the issue that was basically brought in the consensus was that the board members wanted an opportunity to take a look at their school-based budgets and to address the issues of equity. And also, the board members have recently looked at items and reviewed more information on the $12.5 million of items that are necessary or recommended for reductions to make our budget balance. So the Finance and Ops Committee, and I believe a call has been made to recommend that we get at least another week to take a look at the materials that we just received this weekend on the budget, and to have a special meeting to go over and have the administration answer questions and help us to understand the rationale and necessity for those particular items to be reduced and for us to address concerns from our schools. The only other major item that Finance and Ops is addressing, and there have been a number of articles in the newspaper, I'm happy to report that the protection of our fund balance, a very important issue. And we began working on it back in November, asking about transparency, following the New York State law, as far as getting board approval before using our funds. It's been put in the paper. Several Buffalo council members have expressed that they are concerned with needing some transparency, asking for permission, and also that if board funds are going to be used, that would agree that there should be some interest paid. So I was pleased to hear from council members that they raised that issue at their council meeting. The controller has raised the issue of looking at the city of Buffalo's budget and their current problems with cash flow, and they're raising the issue of that the city needs to address their TANs, their RANs, and having some transparency in their relationship with the board. So that issue is out there. It's in the paper, on the several blogs on the blog on the internet, and we're raising issues that. So at some point in the future, we will probably be going back to Dr. Cash and asking what progress has been made, and do we need a board resolution on the 3 points that we brought out in November, that we need transparency, we need access to that account, if preferably it would be separated, and that we need a revenue, we need some interest earnings. You know, we want to work cooperatively with the board, with the city of Buffalo, but the board needs protection, because any of us who've read our 4-year plan realizes that in the new 4-year plan, we say we need all 200 million of our fund balance just to balance our own budget. So this is a critical issue that Finance and Ops is looking at. So that's my report.
Thank you, Board Member Woods. There is an ad hoc committee that was added the other day. Is there any report on that as of yet? We know that it's just a week old, but is there any update on what's going on with the ad hoc committee associated with that? And I think I'm not sure what the name is at this point. Lou said he would be kind enough to report out on that. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, President Kottman. So our name as it stands today is Fiscal Stability and Revenue Ad Hoc Committee. Paulette, myself, and Vice President Makosi met on Tuesday. We went over a variety of different topics, but it's about ways that we can increase our revenue stream, ways that we can contain cost, ways that we can seek relief from various state mandates in order to achieve that same goal of reducing our overall operating cost as well. We also are putting together the bones for a lobbying campaign, both at the state and local level, to supplement what's going on with our other parties that advocate on our behalf. We have strong partners that advocate for us, but there are some things that are unique to the city of Buffalo that we'd want to make sure that if we have the opportunity to get it done, we'd like to. So we'll be reaching out to you to give you a concern who's interested, who has contacts, what these topics are, et cetera, et cetera. So look in your email coming up soon.
Thank you very much, Board Member Patrice. Okay, with that said, let's move forward. Are there any volunteers, or do we want me to call you out? How about education support? Then we will do Dr. Revere's committee after that, and then finally we will do Board Member McCooley's committee after that. Okay. Education support.
Yes, in education support, we had a very lengthy committee meeting pertaining to all of the various subjects that we had. One of the subjects that we talked about was the COVID-19 virus. We have an understanding about the virus and how it affects our region, how it affects our country, and we was talking about the future and how we can go forward. What I mean by going forward is how we're going to continue with school, how we're going to look for reopening schools, and that's how the ad hoc committees got started, because we was looking at meaningful ways to reopen the schools and putting our children's safety at first, the health and wellness. So with the health and wellness update, Dr. Tanja Wills came up and spoke about the health and wellness and things that was going on within the district and how she can, and the plan that the district has to move forward. We're going forward with, one thing was our summer school programs. We talked about the summer school program, and we had Plan A and Plan B. Plan A was a virtual type plan to where we can have our children attend educational classes this summer virtually. And also we looked at a mix in Plan B where we could have some children in classrooms and some actually doing it virtual also. So I know there's a lot of studies that's going on right now. Dr. Cash and administrative staff is working very hard to trying to figure it out. And we also waiting on Governor Andrew Cuomo to validate our plans for summer school. So that's something that's up in the air with this district, but I know that this district right now is working very hard to try to formulate a plan. So whichever direction that it goes into, that the parents can be assured that we have a plan set aside and working for the future. Also, with the health and wellness, we talked about the pediatric multi-system inflammatory syndrome. We talked about that. We know that at that time last week, it affected 13 states, and in New York State, over 100 children were affected, and 3 already had passed away. So we were looking into that as a district to find out how would that affect ours. Our children will be coming into the Western New York area, and the preventive measures. So. And Dr. Cash also made a good recommendation that we actually do a health committee. So that's one thing that we want to generate that I'm going to try to formulate next week, so that through the educational support that we can actually have a health committee. And one of the things that I definitely want to see is having licensed doctors and pediatricians, that can speak on behalf of our children and deal with cases as such, so that we can move forward and have expert advice on these measures. I believe that that's needed within our district, and it was a great plan. And I believe that we can achieve this by bringing in these professionals that can help us, guide us to go forward, and anything that we can do with our children. Another thing we talked about was our RFP calendar update. We're still waiting on our update for our RFPs on our calendar, so that we can have a unified program, like it'll be on our BPS webpage, where anybody that's maybe an NWBE status, or anyone who's looking to secure a bid, and place a bid on any jobs that's coming up within the district, that everybody have opportunity to bid on it, and that we can and universally we can have a means to be helpful to everybody, so that we could be so we can be it can be opportunity to be afforded to every single person. That's what I want to say. Another thing we talked about and Dr. Cass spoke on was our food distribution plan for the city of Buffalo. Dr. Cass did announce today that we had over 1,002,000 meals that has been delivered to our community. 1, say it again, please.
1.2.
1.2, yes. So that meals that distribute to our community, and we know that our communities are in need of these things, but we also talked about some of the other things that's going on within our community is our food deserts. We know that within the city of Buffalo, we have an array of different type of stores that's in the community and in the poorest codes in our community. But as you go into these stores, and I personally went to myself and looked at quite a few, that we don't have any fresh fruits or vegetables. I found that they are serving sugary snacks and sugary type food. So we was looking at the opportunity to see if we can look to place our food distribution into locations, and maybe in schools or maybe community centers that we can work with to try to alleviate that, so that and get more people participating. As of right now, each day we throughout the school year, we are feeding about 29,000 kids, about 29,000 children on a food program that qualify for our food program. But then we only feed about a third of those in the summer program. So we want to make sure that every mouth is fed that we can, and that we can go forward, looking for opportunities, for more families to eat and eat nutritious meals, throughout this epidemic until this COVID-19 subside. Another thing we looked at was the food distribution. We talked about the type of food that's nutritious type foods that's given out, so that it can conflict the things that's being served within these communities. Another thing we talked about and reported on was the anti-bullying webpage, the website. And with the anti-bullying, we looked at some additional things with the anti-gang initiative, which I personally been pushing for, for a couple of months now, asking the board to help, with this initiative, so that somehow we can connect the two together. Since our anti-bullying program is working so efficiently, and the webpage is saying has been updated, we're looking to push that together, so somehow we can collaborate, because we know that from the bullying, it comes through the gang initiative also. It works hand in hand. And that's some of the reasons why we have such a high dropout rate within the city of Buffalo for the last couple of decades. It's not this administration fault, but throughout decades, kids that dropped out, and I have stories that children have told me that they dropped out of school their senior year because of bullying or being afraid to come to school. So we work diligently on that, so we can try to connect these two, and we have a group of people that wants to be part of this committee also. Some other things that spoke about also was cyberbullying. One of the board members mentioned cyberbullying. They wanted to get a hold on that. So we want to make sure everything is included, so that our kids can have a safe and educational environment when they come to school. Also, with that, Hope J is leading that committee. So we be working with Hope J and looking for a response to come back within the near future, and all the work that Tanja Williams had put together through all the meetings, bringing in a couple of doctors, universities from North Carolina, and working with the University of Buffalo. So I'm very interested in seeing that report and how we can move forward with that. Another thing that we talked about was our Buffalo Summers food plan, our site plan. We asked about the curriculums that will be offered, and the enrichment programs. The most important thing I feel is there's enrichment programs, because our kids, if we can find a way throughout this epidemic for kids that want to learn, that want to possibly renew a class that they went over, didn't do quite well in, but it has been enthused to try to do better. We're looking for enrichment programs that can actually help them within their studies and these subjects. Through that, we look at our curriculum that was offered. We don't know exactly which type of equipment that was going to be offered right now, but Anna Betticelli spoke, and she spoke about mainly the basic curriculums right now, and that's something that's going to be addressed more in the future, and how we can move forward with that. So we're only a couple of months out, from summer school. So we hope that maybe next month we can get a better report, and maybe after the governor talks about summer school, we can actually report in more detail to the community about how summer school is going to be ran and how we move forward as a district. We also talked about a learning process, a universal learning class. And one thing that I did bring up was a process of not actually taking the kids out of the building, but possibly looking at a way that we can teach kids on their level. So we said a kid being tied to a building, we could put them in a class with other children that's at that same level and have a teacher teach that class. So if it's an English class, we can try to help kids, not just give them a grade based upon what they don't know, but how they can grow together and they can gain more knowledge that way. Other thing we talked about was our the new grading system. The new grading system, which has now been updated again. I believe that Dr. Cash could actually speak more on that, on the new update about the grading system and the new dates that were given to it. So I look for Dr. Cash to be able to answer to that. And that will be the end of the Educational Support Committee meeting. But if Dr. Cash can reflect on that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Board Member Hurd. Dr. Cash, can you, what Board Member Hurd is asking you to do is just to share with the public the grading system that's been established. I'm sure that notification has been sent out to every child at this point. Is that not correct, Dr. Cash? Dr. Cash?
I don't know what's being asked.
For one, there is a new grading date that I believe is going out to the parents. That if you can speak more about the new date for grades and how it's going to be, the dates that the grades going to be turned in or received. And I have one more thing to add also, President Cotman.
Are we in the work session, committee session, board meeting? What are we in right now?
Committee report. He was going over what happened in education support. At this point, he was using this as an...
I don't remember doing that in education support.
Okay, let's move on from that, and we'll get the information. But the last thing that the report on was, I did ask about the Section 6 about the Section 6 report. And we know that Dr. Cash did report about the AP classes today that were taken and the grades, which I'm very happy to hear. And we spoke about the possible means of having a letter generated by the Section 6 that can be submitted to the board about how we're going to move forward in the future. And we just talked about some of the things that the parents need to know about the collegiate grading with the NCAA to be eligible for the eligibility center. So it's some things that the NCAA didn't change, and they want the graduate from a high school, they want to make sure all the core courses are completed. They also talk about what your GPA average is supposed to be, and making sure that our children took the ACTs and SATs tests so that they can qualify for eligibility for the NCAA. So we was asking about that to make sure that those steps are taken with all our children that's trying to get a scholastic scholarship or opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Board Member Hurd. That's the report for educational support. Next would be Dr. Ann Revere with student achievement. Third would be President Jennifer Makuzi with executive affairs. And your ad hocs, make sure they report out as well under that. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cotman. I appreciate it. While Mr. Hurd covered a fair amount of some of what we did in student achievement, I'm going to fill in a few pieces. We covered technology distribution. And Dr. Cash reported out that they distributed over 7,500 student laptops, as well as hotspot deliveries, and that they continue to make contact and deliver. They debuted the student survey and ran over it of how students are being, let me back up and say, let me try that again. The student contact survey to track student engagement, and we'll be reporting as they collect data from students. We covered methods of instruction, what constitutes instruction, engagement. They reported out that there was an impressive number of assignments submitted through Schoology. And we did cover grading procedures and summer school, as well as the culturally responsive curricular infusion that's happening during the disruption, and social emotional wellness, the overview of a three-tiered approach that's aligned to support where families and students need, and also creates alignment between the departments. It was a lot of material to cover. I appreciated very much Ms. Botticelli and Dr. Williams and Dr. Cash's willingness to go over all that they have been doing. And we had a robust discussion afterwards. Related to this, of course, is the issues around what COVID-19 and the pressures it's placing upon our educational system. And so we also met this week as an ad hoc committee to look at and work with the district, our district partners, on what might be needed going forward. Our committee met, our ad hoc committee met, our membership, our board members, Dr. Evans-Brown, Mr. Hurd, Ms. Jay, and myself. We discussed the desire to align and support the plans that the district is already making. And so I agreed to reach out to Ms. Botticelli and Dr. Williams as well. I have done that, and so we're going to work on setting up a meeting. We're planning to meet weekly every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. And in the meantime, we're starting to generate lists of questions in areas. And our main question is with our district partners about how we can support their efforts going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. That's our student achievement report and executive affairs with Vice President Makouzi.
Hello, everyone. I was hoping to hear from the committee around the charter schools because that kind of sets up the work that I'm doing. Is that possible?
Yeah, we have Larry to speak. He was going to speak after you, but if you want him to speak before, it's no problem.
Sure, I'm ready to go.
Go.
So myself, President Kottman, and Ms. Woods met twice and had two great meetings. There's certainly agreement on the concern, and agreement on how we want to move forward. I'm just going to give some background that gives us some rationale for this committee, this ad hoc committee. And right now it is named District and Charter School Sustainability. And the background is Buffalo Charter School enrollment will reach 25% in 2021, far exceeding the 5% New York State Charter School statute limit. New York City has a cap on charters, and enrollment in charters is only 11%. From 2019 to 21, 78% of our Buffalo schools, or 47 out of 60, are in good standing. On-time graduation rates are up 48% to 65% since 2015, with a 70% rate expected for the 2020 cohort. A total of 48 of 60 schools met NYSED annual academic performance targets this year, and more are expected to reach the benchmark by 2021. Expenditures to Buffalo charter schools have grown to an over $150 million per year. Through June 30th, 2019, charter schools have accumulated $70.3 million in cash, 42% of expenditures, and $112 million in net assets, 66% of expenditures. Along with this is our concern with inequity in subgroups that are enrolled in charter schools by race, special ed, ELL, and those with challenging behaviors. We are working on some goals for the committee and action steps, and we'll have those out to the entire board very soon. And the last thing I want to share is that I have had, I've been in communication with some people, parents and some leaders of charter schools, And those existing charter schools in Buffalo right now that are locally founded and operated, they're concerned about the oversaturation of charters because their enrollment is starting to hurt as a result of this. So I think there's a space for us as a district and some of our good standing charter schools that are locally operated to work together and partner on how we can both mutually exist and sustain reaching the needs of our students as we move forward.
Jennifer, Mr. Vice President, may I just ask Larry Scott to also share his Facebook post that he also put up in regards to one of the charter schools that recently applied for sent a letter of intent for district. Would you would you highlight that, please, or and your committee as well?
Yes. So we learned about Learn for Life Buffalo is a new charter school that is being proposed through the Board of Regents. And when we did some research on it, we discovered that there is a long history of abusive spending tactics, abusive relationships, as far as financial gains that they're achieving, as well as some alarming results, graduation rates. And essentially the program is shifting to a personalized learning so that it gets away from that in-person time with staff in a classroom and is essentially expecting students to be working on their own virtually. So, you know, the research that we did is really concerning about what this would look like for our Buffalo students, those that are at risk. It's targeting those that are dropping out or could drop out. And we feel like in Buffalo Public Schools with our Virtual Pathways program, our innovative high schools, that we are growing the opportunities and quality and access to meet those at-risk students and their needs. You know, we're sending this information on to the Board of Regents, and hopefully they're looking at it closely, because this is, in my opinion, a charter school that is not going to be helpful in addressing the needs of this population.
Thank you. Mrs. Makuzi?
Oh, I really don't even want to follow that. I want that to sink in. I want everybody to hear what Larry Scott just said and let that sink in. I will say the reason that I had gone last is the executive committee that met last week. We met in order to form these ad hoc committees that you have all heard from. You know, the one that myself, Board Member Woods, Board Member Petrucci is on. We are serious about making sure that we look under every stone, every rock. Anybody who owes the BPS and anybody who has money for the BPS, we're coming for you, so look out. And also, you know, making sure that we start holding folks accountable. All three committees are now geared toward the Board of Education, the district, to get in front of, instead of always having to react to something. We're a board who all have, you know, vested interests. We're all kind of moving in the same direction, but our strengths are bringing us to this place now where we're able to really concentrate on what we know well. And again, the three committees, if anybody has concerns, we as board members, it's our job to you know, field all the calls that our constituents who put us in office bring to us. And 90% of them fall into one of these categories in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, the remote learning, and I didn't catch everybody's new names, but remote learning that deals with opening brick and mortar in the future, but summer school and how we're going to do this moving forward. Definitely the charter school. It's, you know, some of these subjects are not easy to tackle. What Paulette Ms. Woods had spoke about, our dealings with the city. That's not easy to talk about in, you know, Buffalo, New York, where everybody, you know, where it's one big living room and we're all trying to fight for the couch and the remote, right? So we have to be able to get along, as Ms. Dominguez stated so eloquently. You know, to me, it's eloquent when you're in your face and you say, look, it's no more time for the okie doke, no more time for drama. It's time to come together. We're all dealing with something this entire world is dealing with. So let's put Buffalo on the map with how we deal with this. I want to make sure that, you know, we hold everyone in high regard who deserves it. We have so many people, like we said earlier, so many people who are on the front lines. We're going to name names. We need to name all the folks. There's many of our wellness teams that are in schools right now that are meeting regularly. All of those directors, not just the principals, the co-chairs of wellness teams, the parents that come on these calls, folks that are getting involved. Those are, you know, I myself have been on a few of the wellness team conference calls with a couple of district schools. And I would like to personally extend my gratitude to Dr. Sue Baldwin, who has been on these calls, who has been leading a lot of this work and working with Ms. Nigel and that team. That wellness team is really leading, and actually really leading. They're number one in New York State on a few things. I can't remember all of them. I don't want to misspeak, but there's a lot of they're being asked to create articles. They're being asked to create, you know, the plans and formulate how we do things in BPS, because there's models that, you know, there's people who want to model what we do. So I just, you know, I wanted to take that time to put that out there. And again, the executive committee, now, you know, it is in that committee that you formulate and put the structure to these 3 ad hoc committees that we were talking about. And now they have their own homes in the other committees. So everyone look forward to it. I will, just for my own personal, as far as looking into things I knew Lou had mentioned, that we're going to be sending emails for folks to get their contacts together on the board. But I'm also going to be looking to, again, we're going to do something we really haven't done before, at least I'm going to attempt it, is we're going to get all of our folks who are affected by these cuts. That means all of our labor, all of our unions. We're going to have to come to the table. We're going to have to do a roundtable discussion, and we're going to have to see how these cuts affect us as a whole. Sidebar conversations with everybody is not going to work. It's time for a new day. Let's get some representatives together so that we can talk about how all this works. And I also, because it's kind of where I really have focused a lot of my energies, I'm going to be, when we do this budget conversation, I just want to let folks know I'm going to be really looking into the athletics and how we're working around the athletics, what's going on, how we're maneuvering the changes that have happened, the positions that are happening. That includes a Section 6 conversation, but we're being in this fiscal stability committee as well. That's a huge point. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So let me make sure that I have the correct
Did we lose Sharon?
We lost Sharon.
Yeah, Jennifer, I think that Sharon got kicked off. I just got kicked off a moment ago and got back on, so maybe she take over. Could she come back?
The agenda, is she on there? So that's all the reports for the committees, correct? Does anybody have any questions or anything about the committees that are in place? I feel like we do need to see if there's any questions that anybody has for any other committee members really quick right now.
You had to read aloud. You know what? I found that the library is doing.
Sorry, I'm receiving a lot of feedback from someone.
It might be on Sharon's. Paulette, I seen your hand raised. You can overcome.
Yeah,
I just.
Brown, but whatever color you are, you can say.
One of the other things we wanted to, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, one of the things that we wanted on the committee for increasing revenue enhancement and fiscal stability. We said we wanted to go after and give all these well-to-do millionaires and billionaires like the Gates Foundation, who has been looking to put money into supporting education and achievement. Well, we want to give him a chance not to just give it to some chartered schools thinking he's doing good. We want to give him a chance to come and do support public education. You know, so we want to go after anybody who's very well-to-do, the Wilson Foundation. Thank Dr. Cash for getting us some athletic money, but we want to go after people who are in that 2%, looking for some tax shelters, and say, we want to give you the opportunity to a supporter, get a tax write-off, and support public education.
Okay, I now have the agenda in front of me again, and let me just see where we're all here. Is Sharon back on? I want to make sure I'm not overstepping anyone.
No, she's not.
Well, I guess Darren, help me out here. The next step is to accept the
you want a
consent
motion to accept the consent agenda, correct?
Yeah, there we go. I want a motion to accept the consent agenda. Sharon, thank you. Come back.
So move.
All right.
That's called Murphy's Law. That's called Murphy's Law. You know what? I'm still going to talk about those charter schools. We're going to talk later then, because I'm not through with that conversation today. Thank you very much, Dr. Cash. I'm not through with that. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay,
The motion
so
for the consent
Lou,
agenda. Where are we picking?
I second the motion.
Lou, and then Terrence, second the motion.
Did Sharon get to give her committee report?
Sharon,
No,
did
but
you
I
have a-
can do it later. We move forward. It's okay. We can move forward. It's okay. We move forward. Thank you, member. Okay, any questions about any items? I didn't receive one of our questions, so you're going to have to raise your hand if you have a question
Mrs.
about.
Belton-Cotman? Mrs. Belton-Cotman?
Yes,
it was. I'm sorry, it's probably emailed to you just a few minutes ago because I surveyed the board members. Mr. Petrucci has a question on 18I and 18J, and Dr. Rivera indicated the only question she has is regarding the budget. So those are the only questions that we received.
That's probably what kicked me off. The email. Okay, Mr. Petrucci, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Cotman. 8-9J refer to hand sanitizer, soap, and various cleaning supplies. I just want to make sure, having read all these various articles, that these things are at a premium, that the district is well positioned to receive them so we can give assurances to our staff and our parents and our students that these supplies will be coming.
Yes, absolutely. Answer is yes. Many of them are already here, Board Member Petrucci, and they're of the higher grade quality. And I'm very pleased with how Barry Kirker has been working to make sure we get the best sanitizing equipment and cleaning equipment in to prepare for the new year. He's done an excellent job.
All right, great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I ask a question about face masks? Are we gearing up for? Are we stocking up face masks for the upcoming new year, Dr. Cash?
Yes. Jim, if you have anything else, but short answer is yes. There's been a lot of donations, as well as we continue to bring them into our storage so that we'll have plenty for our staff should we be in a brick and mortar situation in the early going of next year. Short answer is yes.
I'll just add in, Dr. Cash, that we do have a bid out now for several different kinds of face masks, and we have been supplying them for our engineers and essential workers through not only our own purchasing, but donations from Erie County and other groups have kept us going. So yes, there is a bid out, and we are moving forward with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Weimer. Okay, are your questions answered, Mr. Petrucci? Okay, Board Member Revere.
Thank you, President Cotman. I just wanted to bring up the budget to give the board members an opportunity to discuss and see if we had questions that could be resolved tonight, or if we needed to extend our discussion of the budget at all. It's a really important time. We need to support the district, but we also need time and consideration to make wise choices in our current economic climate.
Floor is open for a general discussion on the budget. What is the will of the board?
I actually moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Then Terrence.
I'm sorry, I just spoke out of line. I'm sorry, but I just want to. I move that we extend the time to talk about that. We table this until maybe next Wednesday. I know time is of the essence. Doing a kind of a survey of board members previously, we do need some more time to really go through this, and then also during that special meeting to be able to ask questions and have the district available. Our, primary duty as board members is fiduciary, and it's quite a extensive budget. We're going through a lot of changes, so hopefully that's not rocking too many boats, but that's what our job is. So I move that we table this and President Kottman calling a special meeting for next week, Wednesday, or whenever we can do that.
Okay, Mr. Hurd.
Yes, I felt the same way that that Mrs. McCosey felt, that this is a very extensive budget, and these are trying times, and this budget is very important. I think that we need to comb through it and see where we at, how we can save money some places and possibly try to spend money other places that's needed. So I think that as a board that we need more time to comb through it and see which direction we should go in with this budget. And especially under Dr. Catt's leadership and Jeffrey, we need to just have more guidance with this budget so we can make the right decisions.
Thank you. Mrs. Woods, Member Woods.
Yes, I did bring to the attention of the board members the extensive list of items that were necessary and suggested and recommended for reduction. And we know that we do have a difficult budget. We do have to make cuts, but there was questions on the number of 57 FTEs included in the package. We did just receive that package. It was with the details. It was sent on a today, and I wanted to just say to the superintendent that, I know you're aware that most municipalities give their elected officials, their bodies, their policy boards, their legislators, at least 2 weeks to have presentations, to have board meetings, to raise questions. And, we understand that there are some issues about if we need deficit funding. We do need to move expeditiously, but I'm hoping that you would see and agree with us that we need to have the staff give us opportunity to go over those reduction items, 12.5 mil, to also review our school board budgets. There are a lot of questions on that too. And the other thing is this ad hoc committee that we formed for revenue enhancement. Included in the package is $54 million of grants, and I really would hope that you could take the time to just go over. That's $54 million. One presentation, one time I asked about grants, but we do need something to address the grants. Even if it's just so that the ad hoc committee won't be spinning their wheels. So feel strongly that the majority of the board and it was suggestions that have been surveyed. We'd like to have a special meeting as soon as next week, Wednesday, so that cooperate with you, but that we can diligence. And my support of that motion. There was a motion, and I just wanted to second it.
Well, okay. Okay. Does any other board members have any comments on this? Mr. Board Member Scott.
Yeah, I support tabling this, but I just want to make it clear that we have a special meeting within a week, no later than next Wednesday, because I think it's important that we have the discussion that we need to have on this budget. It's a tough budget, and it could get worse. And I think we must agree to a hard deadline of next Wednesday to have this special meeting.
Okay, and so are there any other comments from any other board members in regards to the budget? Okay, what I'd like to go on record to say is that we have 5 new board members who have never gone through a budget. Is it 4 or 5? Whatever. We've got new board members, and the conversations that I've had with the board members that they wanted additional time to look at things. I also spoke with the superintendent, who had no problem pulling the item for today so that we could look at it. But he really wants us to make sure that we address this ASAP. So that is the reason for talking about having a meeting as soon as next Wednesday, if not before, once we do the 48-hour notice. I feel that if board members need additional time, that we should afford them that opportunity. What the superintendent has asked for us to do to assist him is to provide the questions that you, or the items that you are concerned with. And then one of the items that I'm concerned with is that there's about 2 high schools, maybe 3, that I think that don't have music programs. And one of the things that has helped our schools is the music program, particularly in MST and Burgard. They were able to structure those classes at the beginning of the day. The attendance went up, and students started coming. So I'd like to, that's going to be a question for me that I will submit. And if the, and I don't know, Nate, you need to advise me at this point. If the item is pulled, there's no need for a vote. However, we would need to, as board president, I can request with the support of the board a special meeting in order to address this next Wednesday, if everyone is receptive to that. Is Wednesday okay? Nate, can you give me some clarity on that, please?
Yeah, Mr. President, comment, if everybody can hear me. You have the authority as president to request a special meeting. Sounds like you have enough support for next Wednesday. We should just agree on a time now so Darren and I can get the posting up with enough notice to comply with open meetings law.
So do I need to move on the motion, or just it can, as Jennifer had made it and Paulette had seconded?
Okay. To pull the item.
Just to pull the, yeah, to pull the item, right.
Yeah, I would take an all in favor vote.
In favor of pulling the item?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Aye. No opposed. Okay, thank you. Nate, did you get that?
I
did, so we will schedule for, what is this, 5, yes, Mr.
I'd just like to make a motion to schedule a special meeting next Friday at 5:30 to discuss the budget.
Next Friday?
Oh, I'm sorry, next Friday? Wednesday. Sorry, Sharon. Wednesday. I had Friday on my mind. Next Wednesday.
Okay. Does 5:30 work for everyone? Larry, I'm sorry.
I second that.
That's second.
Colleagues, if I might, I would recommend earlier if anyone could, only because if you're going to devote to this topic, this is one of the most important items that you have in the whole year. And you're going to need maybe 4 hours or so. I would recommend starting at 4 o'clock if you could, 5 o'clock at the minimum, and be prepared to go, to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So the earlier you start, the better it is for you and your families.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? That's a good point.
Yeah,
just a recommendation.
I agree.
I'm agreeable to the friendly amendment.
I know that. I'm sorry. I know that to the ad hoc committee that some people met at noon. Is that a possible chance we can start earlier?
It's not good for me. That's when I work.
Would be the late
all day to get my team ready. So I need the day
one moment.
to do that.
Okay,
4
so let's
o'clock.
back up. Okay, who is in favor of meeting with 4? Just put your hand up with 4. Okay, that does, okay. Work for everyone. I see everyone's hands up. So we can adjust the, Mr. Pacucci, would you do it? Adjust the time to 4 and we can move forward?
I accept the friendly amendment to move it up to 4 o'clock.
And I second the amendment.
Okay, so move. So we will have a special meeting for the purpose of reviewing our budget. Assure the public that we have total confidence in our superintendent, and this action is being done just to make sure that the board has a clear handle on things and that we know exactly what we're doing. I have been involved over the years, budgets, and one year, the very first year I got on the board, the board did not do this. And they did not take a clear look at things, and it was really rough. It was really hell to pay, and we ended up doing some things a lot differently from there. Mr. Hurd, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, last week we was on a call with Senator Chuck Schumer, and we spoke about the budget. He said $1 billion was coming to New York State. I was like to know, have we done any research in receiving some of that money of the $1 billion for education through the PPP grants?
Not at this point, I don't think. But I do want to say that it was very interesting, since we're talking about money coming to, or money being distributed to school districts, how on the last stimulus package, charter schools were identified with the small businesses. And that's a very interesting proposal that was designed not include all schools, included charter schools. So it's very interesting that is happening under the current U.S. Department educational leader, Betty DeVos. Yes, Mr. Hurd, we want to move forward. Yeah.
President Kavanaugh, I was asking Dr. Cash, has him or his administration looked into the PPP grants that was afforded to New York and to Western New York?
He answered. He said not to his knowledge at this point.
We have not received any $1 billion in the state yet, and if it does come to the state, there are officials at the state level that can opt to freeze it before it's ever distributed. So we're a long way off from seeing any money at this point. And that's why it's important for you to approve a budget, have an approved budget sooner than later, so that if you then have to make additional adjustments, you can make an amendment to a budget much easier than you can to start from scratch and try to close a $90 million deficit on top of $100 million and maybe even a $200 million deficit. It just becomes very chaotic, very alarming, and difficult. It really, really is. So I'm trying to take it step at a time. I think you're absolutely right within your board powers to ask for additional time. But I think next week we're going to be on the outer limit of then having to hear from the governor shortly after that. I just don't want to get into that space with a budget that's not approved, because that's a whole different scenario. And so you should finish taking your vote. I'm not sure, did you vote on the 4 o'clock next Wednesday?
Yeah, we sort of got through that, but we sort of we're in the middle of the consent agenda when all of this occurred. And so we have not cleared our consent agenda at this point. But Attorney Kuzman, are you satisfied with this at this point? Can I go forward with the consent agenda and have the vote taken, the roll call vote, if there are no other questions or concerns?
Yes, Madam President. 22F, which is the budget, has been pulled, and the board has agreed to revisit the budget next Wednesday at 4 p.m. So you may proceed if you're ready for a vote. If you're ready for a vote, I can do that now, or is there more discussion on the consent agenda? Okay. So on the consent
I
agenda,
think,
board
is
members,
everyone's, board members are ready to vote.
okay. 22F has been pulled. That is the budget, as we just discussed. So on the remainder, how do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Agree, no exceptions.
Mr. Hurd,
No exceptions.
Ms. J,
No exceptions.
Ms. McCosy,
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci,
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci, can you hear me?
Yes, Nate, no exceptions.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Rivera,
No exceptions.
Mr. Scott,
No exceptions.
Ms. Woods,
No exceptions.
and Board President Belton Cotman.
No exceptions.
Consent agenda passes.
Thank you. Okay, and moving forward, there is there's a resolution package that was, that I wanted to talk more about, only because I wanted it to be clear to the public that this board is concerned about school safety. And I want to also thank Mr. Board Member Larry Scott for putting that resolution together. However, by me in regards to a resolution of equity, and in order to bring it to the people, I would need 6 board members to agree to allowing this late item to be moved forward. Nate Guzman? Nate, are you there? Okay, so can I get I would like to make a motion to add on the, yes, I was calling you out to move forward with the resolution of equity. And I was about to make a motion myself to request that the resolution of equity be added to the agenda today and for a discussion. I've informed the board that we need 6 board members to agree to that. Am I correct?
You are, yes. Because it wasn't submitted within the 48 hours before the meeting, you need 6 votes to consider and 6 votes to pass. So you'd first need a motion to add it to the agenda and need 6 votes to incorporate that for discussion.
Okay, can I do the motion?
Of course, yeah.
I just did. Okay, so I've made a motion.
You need a second.
And I need a second.
Second.
I'll second.
Oh, a lot of seconds. Oh, beautiful. And so I'd like to talk about this resolution, and I don't know if the board, if it's required that I read it in its entirety, but we have talked for years about a equity in this. Yes, where am I? What's up? I'm sorry.
May I just suggest first you see if you've got the 6 votes to include it, and then you can have a discussion on this.
Okay, I stand corrected. My apologies. Okay, can we take a vote? Nate, a roll call vote, please.
And this is on just a motion to include this for discussion on this board meeting's agenda. How do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
I agree. No exceptions.
Mr. Hurd? Mr. Hurd?
No exceptions.
It's yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes? Is that a yes? Okay. Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosy?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Could you say it again?
Ms. Woods?
I said yes. I seconded
Okay,
it.
Thank you. Okay, I couldn't hear. I'm sorry. President Belton comment.
Yes.
Okay, so it's on the table now.
So I'm sorry, I was so excited, I jumped up there, but that's okay. So I had also requested, and for our board to, for board members to consider this. It was kind of Larry Scott today to add in some suggestions, and I appreciate that. I think it's important for the record that this is read as I'm thinking about it. In a crisis in our district, in our city, we are in a crisis where people who purport to be supporters of equity and fairness, who are now saying that it is okay for children to be excluded, subgroups to be excluded or limited in certain charter. And when the Board of Regents takes a stand in that area, there's criticism for that. So this resolution of equity, and afterwards I will read it and then I will ask if you will, who will co-sponsor it so the record could reflect. And it's been sent to you. The updated copy has been sent in the mail. And I'll try to read it as quickly as I can. As the Buffalo Board of Education is committed to the success of every student, regardless of age, race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, political affiliation, mobility, marital status, military status, veteran status, disability, weight, or any other basis prohibited by New York State non-discriminatory laws in its programs and activities. Whereas in 2015, the Board of Education approved the education bargain with students and parents. The education bargain's mission statement is, an equal and high quality education is every child's civil right, and as educators, we must deliver on this essential democratic principle, end of quote. The education bargain declares that the work of the district will lead to and guarantee pathways to opportunity that will lead to achievement and success in exchange for hard work, commitment, and collaboration of our students and parents. As New York State Department of Education's website declares, the U.S. Department of Education approved New York's Every Student Succeeds Act plan in January 2018, commonly known as ESSA. ESSA is about creating a set of interlocking strategies to promote education equity by providing support to districts and schools as they work to ensure that every student succeeds. Is committed to ensuring that all students succeed and thrive in schools, no matter who they are, where they live, or where they go to school. Whereas equity is defined, uniform distribution of district resources supports opportunities, and equity is defined as an allocation of districts' resources, supports, and opportunities that are based on the needs of students and staff. Recognizes that injustices have existed for decades and have a long-standing impact on access, opportunity, ability to learn and thrive. The board recognizes these injustices as economic, housing, racial, criminal, social, health, transportation, grading, assignment, instructional, scheduling, literacy, educational, equity, and equality have been documented to influence a child's ability to learn, thrive, and receive an equitable and equal education. The board acknowledges that there is a need further to address the impact of injustices and inequities and requires the continued support of numerous community partners consisting of local, state, and national leaders, organizations, institutions, and individuals, all committed to working collectively with many institutes, organizations, governmental agencies on multiple levels, and acknowledges that over the years, and particularly in recent years, the district has implemented many programs, curriculums, training, and seminars to address issues of disparity and disproportionality, and that there is data which supports that the district has already begun its work areas relative to equity by providing culturally relevant and diverse training, including students, staff, parents, and community. Attended national forums and shared this work with other districts. Whereas the board will continue to work with community partners and hold governmental agencies, including New York State Department of Education and the SUNY trustees, the Buffalo Common Council, the New York legislator, and the United States Congress, accountable made under their leadership relative to overseeing that equity and equality exist with comparable standards and oversight for all children. This oversight also includes resources dispersed and contributory to privately controlled entities such as charters and other private schools. Whereas the board acknowledges that additional practices must be developed in order to achieve equity, and that equitable practices should be prioritized at all levels of district leadership and management, with the goal of providing every student with an opportunity for equitable access to high quality and culturally relevant instruction. Effective immediately where possible, create a baseline standard of what the educational equity experience will encompass, and be further developed to include every student within the BPS district. This experience will be ready to be implemented in full effect for 2021 school year. We resolve, under the leadership of Dr. Kreiner Cash, Superintendent, and his successor or assigns, and working in conjunction with the board's legal counsel, is instructed to work with the board to create a policy of equity by September 2020 to begin its implementation in the 2021 school year. Therefore, it further be resolved that biannually in December and June, the administration shall report to the board effort to achieve equity. This report shall include data and research concerning subgroups and demographics outlining to the extent of progress in fulfilling the equity goals as specified in the superintendent's annual evaluation. And that was a mouthful. So with that said, we open discussion on this. Does anyone have any additional input? And would you acknowledge if you would like to be considered as a co-sponsor on this resolution? Anyone to speak? Larry Scott has raised his hand. Jennifer McCooley's next. Larry, your face is not there.
Sorry. I fully support co-sponsoring this resolution. Thank you for including my suggested edits, Sharon, President Cottman. And one other thing I just realized as you finished reading it, right at the end, the last resolve, where it references the superintendent's annual evaluation. I'm reading that as you want to, I think, use the metrics from the superintendent's annual evaluation to assess the equity policy. Is that what you're trying to achieve there in that last sentence?
Well, my idea was that we would have a conversation with the superintendent, and we would talk about what metrics he would like to consider that is required under his contract. That we involve him in that conversation. But I was thinking that we would talk possibly about an additional category, and to set individual goals each year, not large goals, but things that he can accomplish within the work that he's currently doing. And we'll open that up for his conversation after the board has shared their opinions about that. And Dr. Cash, I would like for you to have the final word on this, okay? All right?
Yes.
So, so that's what I was thinking, that we would possibly add an additional item onto the evaluation, which is, by the way, up to be worked over the next 30 days. Good.
Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. That's a different conversation.
No,
That's right.
their evaluation is normally done in June. And so
You want equity goals?
No, not for this year, not for this year, to be added in as a goal for next year.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it at the end. Okay.
All right. Okay. Larry, did I answer your question? Larry, are you okay?
Yes, yeah. I will wait for Dr. Cash to respond and provide his input.
Okay, thanks. Okay, next, is there anyone else? No other comments?
I had a comment. I emailed you. I certainly would also like to co-sponsor this resolution. I think is warranted, and we need to send in writing.
What? I'm sorry. What did you want? You emailed me. I'm sorry.
I did to say that I would like to co-sponsor this resolution. It's necessary and it's over time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other co-sponsors? I think Terrence Hurd, your hand is up. I have 5 hands up. Jennifer's hand is up. So let's go to Terrence. Jennifer, I'm going to save you for last as vice president, if you don't mind. Who else hand is up?
Mine.
Okay. Terrence. Okay, so everyone's hand is up. Okay, so Terrence, and we're going to go to Ann, who was next, then Lou, then Hope, Jay, you're there, Paulette, and Jennifer. We'll say
First of all, President Cotman, I thank you for taking the initiative to draft this letter, and that it reflects a lot on the opinion of the district and our thoughts as we talk, one-on-one and we talk in groups, is that, this is part of the school to prison pipeline. And it's something that I'm working diligently on to try to change around, try to turn around. And we all have been putting our own brand on top of it to reflect this. We're putting we got to ensure that we put a system in place that's fair to every child and that's fair to the district. And by taking away and constantly taking away, and a word that came up earlier was a business, that the schools are a business. And the charters, when you look at it as a business, and we know that if a business isn't producing right, or if a business is not making a profit, they close. That's what businesses do. But here in private school and public school, we're looking at what's between businesses and actual school and learning. Who has the heart for the kids and who wants to nurture our kids. And this resolution right here reflects directly upon, the sentiments of what we feel, in our hearts. And moving forward, I love to co-sponsor this, and looking at equity and having people within the state that's fighting for us, and across the state, in Albany, and just, hearing our words, hearing our cry, how can we give a fair and equitable education to every child? These are the things that we're working for, and the community should know that we're taking a strong stance on.
Absolutely, thank you. Next person. I thought it was, okay, I thought it was Lou, then Ann, Hope, Woods, whoever, just at this point.
That's fine, Sharon. I thought it was Dr. Rivera first, but
I'm sorry, Dr. Rivera, let me go first.
It's okay, Lou can go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ann.
It's you, Ann.
Are you sure? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Petrucci.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was not intentional, I know. First, I'd like to say that I really appreciate the definitions between the difference between equality and equity, as well as the acknowledgement of working with community partners throughout the document. I would like to hear more about how Dr. Cash sees a policy of equity intersecting with his goals, because I think we need to talk about exactly how that works, how things go hand in hand. There's a few minor issues just with cleaning up the document that I assume we'll do as we move along. But the largest comment that I'd like to make about this is that equity is critical to student achievement. that in order to achieve, for all of our students to achieve, for our district to achieve and create the student achievement that all of us want, we have to make sure that there's equity across the district. And I appreciate my colleagues' willingness to be able to commit to this. So as I said in my email to you, I would be willing to co-sponsor it.
Thank you.
And move forward.
Okay, next I have Lou, and then I have Hope.
Thank you, President Kottman. Like my two predecessors, I also emailed earlier saying that I would be a co-sponsor, and proudly. Too many students, too many of our subgroups in the district feel that they don't have a seat at the table. Until such time as they feel that everybody has a seat at the table in this district, we need to continue to work to make sure that we deliver equitable resources that children need to achieve for everybody across the district. So I'm a proud sponsor of this resolution.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Next would be Hope. Jay. Board Member Jay.
I apologize that I didn't email earlier. I had a busy day, but I just wanted to put it on the record that I do support this. We've been partners and working on this goal since I've gotten on the board. So I support this resolution and whatever I can do to move it forward.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Board Member Woods.
I just want to commend you, President Kottman, for making this a permanent policy and a statement of the growth that this school district has just grown so tremendously. That just to recognize that EQUAL is not equitable, that some of our disadvantaged children, whatever their challenges be, that they need some extra resources. And I commend our board members because we fought to put our money where our mouth is. A policy without funding is nothing. So we have done that, and I know we'll continue to do it. And putting it as a policy, I just think it's the right thing to do, and I'm proud to be a co-sponsor.
Thank you so much, Board Member Woods. Vice President Jennifer Mukhuzi.
So of course I'm co-sponsoring this. I also emailed earlier. I just want to point out that this is a victory. Like, I want to put this out there that this is a victory for somebody who's been fighting for years before even considering a position on this board, for the folks who, you know, go to that podium and speak for their 2 minutes and 45 seconds and their 15 extra seconds to try and sum up what we're talking about in this resolution. For years of going back and forth, I feel like this is a long time coming to see everybody all agree to it. It's just amazing that, you know, the Buffalo School Board is actually on the same page and we're all working together. And you have no idea, from going from screaming at y'all to being a part of this is amazing. And Dr. Cash and the district, you know, you guys have a huge role in making sure that, you know, you had some new board members and older board members and tension and all that drama. It doesn't matter. You made sure that you were doing the work to make us all come together and realize the goal. So I proudly co-sponsor this and can't wait to get it moving.
Thank you so much. One thing I wanted to share with the board members is that when the New York State came up with the Every Student Succeed Act, it preceded the No Child Left Behind. One of the things that I started doing, I started researching all the states who have written into their legislation, okay, school equity. And so in talking and trying to move this to the next level, next steps, of course, would be to work on the policy. And of course, you know, there's ideas for that. We're going to need everyone to participate. But this board is a commitment to working for children. It deserves to be commended. The heart is there. The heart is there. And I'm very proud to be a part of it. A lot of times people, you don't always know, but I do try to include Dr. Cash in my conversations before I start moving forward and start doing things. And we started talking about this a while ago, and it just so happened that I was able to, we were able to pull it together. And so, Dr. Cash, I would like your take on this, and respectfully so.
Well, thank you, President Commons. Certainly, I want to commend you for putting this into resolution, written form, statement supported unanimously by this Board of Education. That's somewhat groundbreaking. That's a first in my experience. A lot of folks give lip service to equity, but you rarely put it into resolution and then begin to act on it. Now, I do want you to remember, however, because you've been part of it, that we did start 5 years ago to begin to talk about it, and you did allude to it in here about what the bargain means. It's equal and high quality education, but there's also 4 major concepts that we all been talking about for some time now, and that's greater access, greater equity, greater quality, and greater opportunity for all of our students in this work. And so when you look at those major district accomplishments in those 6 goal areas, it's a good start. It's a good start along these lines. So you're not just starting it here, colleagues. You're trying to continue and make sure that this work continues. So it's a good thing. Now, the only suggestion that I would have, a friendly amendment, if you will, but it is substantive, is on that very last line, if you would just change in fulfilling the equity goals as specified in the policy of equity. See, because the main piece of this is to develop policy. Policy will last forever. It'll outlast you, me, this board, and that is what makes it so effective. So instead of the superintendent's annual evaluation, because you kind of have to negotiate that each year based on the circumstances of a particular year, I would suggest that you just link it back to the policy of equity and remove the superintendent's annual evaluation. And then I think you have a really smart overall resolution. Could you hear me?
Okay, so yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Cash. I appreciate that, and I think that's a great idea. Someone raised their hand before Larry Scott. Who was it? Okay, maybe you didn't take the hand down. Larry Scott, and then I have.
It was I.
Okay, Cassie Brown.
Yes, it was just a minor thing, and like Ann said, it needed a little tweaking. I was thinking one of the critical areas that I'm not seeing, and maybe I overlooked it, is increasing educators that are of color. And I think part of that would be important when we look at the research that, I mean, we're doing it. We have, examples of collaborating with the University of Buffalo and so forth. You know, we have the students over at, I think it's McKinley, who are in the that program. But I think somehow we need to at that. I mean, we're doing those things, but that needs to continue because it's important that young people continue to see people that look like them in these classrooms.
Okay, so do you think, because I had taken it out, I did have a sentence in here about that human resource would continue to recruit diversified and culturally rich people. And I think I removed it because this was so wordy. It was starting to be it was getting too long. And I'm like, I gotta get it shorter. But would that statement work for you, that it would be, and I can, it would be something to the tune of that human resource or our Yes, Dr. Cash got his hand up. He's got to answer.
Let me be helpful. Let me be helpful in my experience, colleague. Your resolution already approximates the Constitution of the United States, so you don't want to make it any longer. I think what's really the key is the policy itself. You don't have to have everything in a resolution. Where you can start to talk about what equity means and what it looks like is in your policy. That will set the parameters. And you can then talk about things like staffing. You can talk about, opportunities for field trips, for example, to go abroad, study abroad, and as opposed to just some of the schools that get the field trips to Europe every year. I'm just giving an example. And we can couch this in codicils or in, paragraphs within the policy that really describe what equity looks like. So I think you have the guts of this thing here, and you should move on it, and it can always be refined, but the main work is then to direct staff to go to work on the policy and start to frame that up for you. And I think you'll be very pleased with how we set that outline. You said in the injustices, for example, board member and President Common, you had all these injustices, and some of those allude to staffing. They allude to everything there. So I don't think you need to go much further in tweaking it. Certainly, Dr. Brown is right. I think you might want to say somewhere, especially for children of color, you could say that somewhere, but you don't need to continue to noodle it. The policy is the key. It's a good statement.
Okay,
that's my recommendation.
But thank you, Dr. Cash. Okay, Larry Scott, and then I saw Karen Bird. Okay.
I put my hand down. I'm good.
Oh, you put your hand down. You good? Okay. Terrence.
Okay, I think that is covered at the end of the third paragraph when it says, no matter who they are, where they live, or where they go to school. I think that covers everything, covers everybody. Like Dr. Cass said, you can get into details, about what's going on. I mean, so many things we can talk about. We can talk about low income, which is not in there. We can talk about kids that's chronically absent, or we can talk about a parent in prison, a home without a father or a parent. So there's so many things that we can address inside of here. But when we look at the, no matter who they are, or where they live, or where they go to school, I think equity refers to all children, and that we can look at things decisively about, each child is different. Coming from a teaching background, I know that each child is different. You got to treat them differently. And if you go into a classroom to teach and try to treat every child the same in that classroom, you're not going to have a successful class. You're not going to have a successful learning environment, and you're not going to have a relationship with the kids. So I believe that this covers everything, and I think that we can move on. And it's about building those relationships, not just the teachers, but the board with the teachers and the schools and the students.
Okay, so I'll make sure that that's put in there when the policy is done. Dr. Evans Brown, we'll make sure you'll be a part of it too. Larry Scott, your hand went up. Yes.
So I would like to motion to approve resolution that includes the suggested amendment on the last line by Superintendent Cash.
Can I just ask before we do that, can I just add one thing before we finalize that, please? Dr. Cash, the work that's been done under your leadership, the Amnistad Project, the 1619, the culturally relevant linguistically teaching, I sort of feel that we sort of should put this in here, at least from my perspective, and help me understand this, that people from the outside do not know all the work that's being done in this area. And so when they read this, I want it to be clear that, you started building a foundation. So maybe it may not be necessary to put it in, but I think that this is, in my opinion, board, that this is legacy building. This is a legacy building resolution here. And that when you're old and you got your grandkids sitting on your knees, you can say, yeah, well, Buffalo Public Schools at one point didn't have that, but I was a part of it. And what I don't want to happen is that by some twist of fate, that this stuff goes unnoticed, because it has a tendency to do so. Maybe it's not necessary, but I just wanted to throw that out there because we're doing a lot of work. I mean, the board took the 1619 training. I've been to this training. You know, I don't know if that's necessary, but I just feel that I don't think it would hurt to put in some of the formal things that we've done in the district to try to address this disproportionality and et cetera. What do you think, Dr. Cash? Is it too wordy? Too much?
No, you got, you know, I think you're all right except for that last part, because you want to, the annual evaluation thing is a sticky wicket.
Okay.
And you want some flexibility around that for whoever's the superintendent, whoever it is. And I just think that your policy, you will have enough support and work to keep the superintendent accountable without sort of mandating what the goals are without
Okay.
a mutual conversation. So certainly, you know, like I said, that's only work we've been doing our whole career. You're all about that. I'm all about that. But if you put everything in, you're starting to conflate a lot of different important concepts. And
Okay, no problem.
that's a strong recommendation.
Okay, no problem. Larry, my apologies. I just wanted to throw that out there because we have done some phenomenal work in this district and we're moving toward that
Absolutely.
goal. Larry, would you go ahead, please?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I agree with you, Sharon, that those need to be included and recognized and lifted up. And so perhaps those could be included in the policy that is established, especially the associate superintendent position for CLRI that we currently have. I think we want to have something in policy that maintains that position so it can't be eliminated. So I agree.
Awesome. Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah,
I'm
that
good.
I'd like to motion to, Terrence has his hand up.
One question. Can part of this be adopted into the code of conduct?
We can adopt anything. We're the board.
What does that mean, Mr. Hurd?
What do you want to do with it?
I'm just reflecting on to the equity piece in the code of conduct, possibly looking at this, and as we draft our new code of conduct, which we should be meeting on pretty soon, how can we look at equity as being part of it also? I know equity reflects not only on the children, but on the teachers and administrative staff, so that that it would be blatant across our district.
I would suggest that the code of conduct, when a policy is established for equity, that it reference the policy on equity in the code of conduct.
Absolutely. I agree with that. We'll do that. Okay.
So,
all right, Larry, go ahead. Make your motion.
I move to approve the resolution on equity with the amendment suggested by Dr. Cash in the last line.
I second.
Jennifer, okay. All right. And can we just do, since everyone has already spoken, can we just do well, you know what? For the record, Nate, can you do because I really wanted to specifically say.
I'll do a roll call vote. I'll do a roll call.
I really would like to have it, spelled out.
On the equity resolution, how do you vote, Dr. Evans Brown?
Aye. No exceptions.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
That's with the amendment.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. President Belton Common.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so, yeah, that's great. Okay, so I just we're reaching toward the end of our meeting, and I wanted to go on record to talk about what is happening in Buffalo in regards to the Board of Regents and the decision that they make. Yes?
Do we want to do the traffic safety and school zone
It
resolution?
was already voted in. Do you want to talk more about it? Yeah, we can, but they voted it in with the consent agenda.
I didn't realize it was on the consent agenda. Okay.
Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe Nate?
Usually we have board resolutions outside the consent agenda.
Okay, my apologies, Larry. I stand corrected. Please go ahead and talk about it.
All right, just briefly, the reason why I'm bringing this resolution, when I started campaigning last year for school board, and I was visiting schools and meeting with parents and teachers and educators, this came up as the consistent concern that traffic safety around schools was a major concern for staff and for students walking to school when they get off the bus, going into the building. It had a lot to do with speed of cars, lack of signage, lack of painted crosswalks. The city has started to make some improvements with the painted crosswalks. And as we all know, the New York State passed a law last year that allows us to use cameras to enforce lower speed limit. So I'm introducing this resolution. Vice President of Executive Affairs, Jen McCosey, is also sponsoring. Kathy Evans Brown, East District, is also sponsoring. And I'll just read some of it and then to go to the resolve to give everybody a full picture of this resolution. So whereas the safety of our children is paramount concern to the Buffalo Board of Education, administration, teachers, and families, whereas New York State approved legislation establishing speed zones in the city of Buffalo using cameras to record speeding violations, whereas the current design and condition of streets, sidewalks, and lack of bicycle facilities in many of our school zones and surrounding communities places our children at risk. And then there's a few whereas statements here that reference a study that was done by University of Buffalo that really indicates that many children, more children are hit and killed by vehicles, that a lot of these accidents are occurring around our schools, close by our schools, as well as in neighborhoods, our vulnerable neighborhoods of where families of poverty are living. And then lastly, whereas the city of Buffalo has implemented 15-mile-per-hour school zones around all city schools and has documented in just a small portion of these zones over 10,000 vehicles daily speeding, thus putting our students' safety at risk. Therefore, let it be resolved, the Buffalo Board of Education requests the Buffalo Common Council to, number one, maintain school safe zones and their enforcement at the current 15 miles per hour speed limit throughout the entire school day. Number two, form a joint working group between Buffalo Public Schools and the City of Buffalo in order to A, establish a traffic safety plan to address the health and safety caused by current infrastructure surrounding all of our schools and present to the Board of Education present to the Board of Education before the beginning of the 2021 school year to ensure that every student, regardless of circumstance, will be safe walking or bicycling to school. B, establish a financial plan to share revenue derived from the enforcement of school safe zones. And C, designate financial resources derived from the enforcement of school speed zones to the implementation of these plans to ensure every school has, at a minimum, high visibility crosswalks, safe bicycle facilities, well-maintained sidewalks, and streets with design speeds that reflect the 15 miles per hour speed limit. Now, just last thing I want to say before we move to discussion, I know that there are folks out there that are inconvenienced by this lower speed limit and it being enforced. I don't like to drive slow either, but the safety of our children outweighs that inconvenience. And I know that there's some that disagree with having this lower speed limit throughout the entire school day. Well, kids are outside all the time when they're at school, and they're out there playing for recess. They're taking walks. We have Da Vinci students that are crossing the street in the middle of the day. I don't think it goes far enough. A lot of our kids, our families live near our schools. My kids we live right around the block from School 81, and I see the way people drive, and it shouldn't be too much to ask and expect that people slow down when they're around our schools to keep our kids safe. So that's why I feel strongly about maintaining the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit throughout the entire school day.
Well said.
Okay, I'm not sure who raised their hand. Or did they never take it down? Okay, I don't think it was that. I would like to say something. Lou Petrucci has raised his hand. Yes, Lou.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I mean, I support everything in the resolution. I'm a big proponent that there needs to be the redesign of our streets. They need to be reflective of the modes of transportation. They need to be reflective of a new urbanism that stresses people that use alternative modes, whether it's public transportation, whether it's walking, whether it's riding their bike, etc. We do need better with our infrastructure, sidewalks, curbs. I love the idea of the committees, but I am one of those people that thinks that there should be provisions where it's before and after bell time, both at the beginning and the end of the day, not for the entire school day. That's my only objection to the resolution.
Okay. Anyone else? What I would like, okay, I see hands going up. Terrence Hurd and then Paulette Woods. Terrence, we cannot hear you.
Okay, I like the idea of this proposal, but there's certain things I like to see done first. I sent the email out to Larry expressing my concerns upon this. Most of the people that are affected within the inner city are people of color and people that's poor. And for the safety of our kids, this is very important, and I stand by that. But there's certain things I like to see done first, because as I roll past a couple of the different areas that has the enforced school signage up now, and when the Common Council votes to enact this, I believe that certain things should be done, because first of all, the striping, the striping on the ground, the signage isn't vivid enough. And in Buffalo, we have inclement weather also about 7 months throughout the year, where it can be covered with snow, ice, or rain, and that the striping that's being used around the schools is not bold enough. It's not vivid enough. And if you're a tourist coming into the city of Buffalo, or if you just live here, and through repetition, you've been driving on these streets for decades, and you maintain a certain speed limit, I would like to see that that striping be more bold, bigger signage, larger signage, not just a little square sign that look like a parking sign. It should be vividly be able to be seen, so that we don't do this. We all know that Buffalo has speed traps, and we don't want to put a position up to where someone can have their rights violated by having their car searched, because they may be coming into a speed zone and maybe a couple of miles, 1 to 2 miles an hour over. Also, I don't want to see a reoccurring type penalty. I would like to see a standard penalty. So if it's going to be a $25 fine or a $50 fine, I want it to stop there and not exceed a $50 fine. I know that sometimes if with driver license for speeding and things like that, every time you get penalized, that the fine go up more and more, then become points against your license. I don't want to see the points going against the license, and I don't want to see the fine to be recurring and going to a higher price. People in the city cannot afford that, and if you're just driving through the city and through repetition, it's not fair to the Buffalo residents, the city of Buffalo residents, to have to incur something like that, especially somebody who's thinking about how they're going to get their next meal or trying to get to work. I believe that the safety of our kids come first and is very important. And also with the bold type of striping on the streets and the bigger signs, and with the actual times on it, that's going to be enforced. I really think that this shouldn't be enforced until they do every building in the city of Buffalo, every school in the city of Buffalo. I don't think it's fair that some would be you can get penalized in one area and in some area you can't. So if it's going to be something that we're going to run in this district, it should be run over the full district. And like I said, I don't want to see the flexible rates. And another thing, we talked about the new ECC middle, to where we have a new school that's coming that's going to be right in the middle of two expressways. One is the I-90 and one is the 33. And those at Oak Street and the other street, I believe it's Ellicott. I believe those streets are used more like expressways because they have long time signs. I know Larry did mention in his proposal that he was looking to try to do a study, and that's very important that we do that study. Maybe we can make the lights rotate a little faster, or we can try to find a way to slow down the cars that's in that area. But we are putting the high school right in the middle of what seemed to be a highway. And we know that ECC College is there also. And I've seen kids run across the street, not looking or talking or not paying attention to their environment. And we also seen cars speeding through there, cars, trucks, whatever. So I just think that we need to look more into it. And I don't want to see something going on around Jefferson Avenue, that we're starting putting tickets out to where another school there's no enforcement. Or you can't really see the striping of it. I'll conclude there.
Thank you. I think Paulette Woods was next.
I am really enthused about the fact that the city is saying they're going to raise $18 million. I think we need our share. If it's going to be any money, that should be a new revenue for us. That I really appreciate in the resolution. And the other thing is, I do agree with Terrence as far as that they said they were going to put something like a very high visible flashing light so you would know you're entering zone, because otherwise, every time I walk down the street, I'm going to be getting a problem because I can't go in any direction without a school zone. I can't even go 2 blocks anywhere. The schools all around me. So I know the schools are there, but a lot of people don't. And I find people basically almost rear-ending me. They're not slowing down. I'm slowing down, and it's just dangerous. So there needs to be that light that they were talking about. It needs to be there so that I don't wind up getting killed just by trying to obey the law. Make it safe, guys, and give us the money.
Okay, there's another hand up. Okay,
that's me. I just want to clarify that the city has approved that wherever the cameras are and that they're being enforced, that they will have beacon lights, and those beacon lights will be on when this lower speed limit is being enforced.
Okay, so what I wanted to say about it is, because I have some concerns about the impact that it's going to have on poor people and the cost. But my biggest concern is that, let's take Makowski, for example. Makowski's biggest street of traffic is Best. The light wasn't put on Best, it was put on Jefferson. The main entrance to the school is on Best. There are no entrances on Jefferson. And so my concern is, how did they determine where to put them up? Because you had statistics that said certain areas, certain schools, this happened around there. Why weren't those schools selected, since we already had data that supported that? And so my concern is that, how did you come up with this idea? What areas did you decide to do it? And I'll be honest with you, that one at McKinley, at Makowski, I was shocked to see it where it was located. Where it should have been on Best Street, it was located on Jefferson. And that was very interesting to me, because it's at all on Jefferson, but the entrance is on Best. So it looks like to me that the city, just arbitrarily just put things where they wanted to and didn't even use the data. Because when I looked at your stats, it showed that they certainly didn't have them around where the incidents were really happening. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the pros and cons, but I also understand that the city is very political, and if the idea was to make sure that the doctors get off the expressway and be able to have a fair way from Best to get to the medical corridor, they definitely that. But meanwhile, where all the traffic is, not on Jefferson, that side. So it just amazes me how they went about doing it. It's just my question. You know, it just looks like to me it's suspect, and I'll tell them that. I have no problem. It is suspect to me how they went about doing it. How do you put a speed trap on the side of a building where there are no entrances? That's amazing to me. Okay, yes, Jennifer, your hand is up. Jennifer McCool.
So I just want to say too that this resolution in itself, the way that it's worded and what it's putting forth is what's going to guide and dictate what happens moving forward, right? We can take this and start bringing this, when we start putting these policies, these procedures in place, then we can use these in order to build our strength and show our standing and advocate to the city, to the state, to whoever have it written. I think that that's what we're learning. And I don't want to say we, I definitely want to say myself. That's what I'm learning being on this board, that the stronger that, we come together and actually build policy and come together on resolutions, that's our fight. That's our fight when we have to take it to another level. So I see everyone's concern here. I got ticketed myself, and it wasn't pretty, and I wasn't going, super fast, but it was right in the beginning when they're like, let's get everybody. That's how I felt, is that they were really, eyes in. We have to make sure that when we put this together, that we're doing our due diligence, because what's very clear, especially with these, the cameras and all that, is that wasn't thought through really well. Too many questions, too many things happening, too many people upset. No follow-up with the people who ended up getting pulled over, who maybe didn't understand what's going on. Nothing was spelled out the way we're trying to do it now. So let's put this through. Like Dr. Kesh has said, we can kind of amend things and stuff later as opposed to trying to work it all through all over again. But I believe this is very important for us to really fight. And Paulette, I'm totally down with getting the money well-deserved. If you're hitting up our schools, then you definitely deserve to give us some of this funding too. Thank you very much.
Please. I know. Are there any other comments on this? Okay.
Yeah. So we asking, yes, Mr. President. We're asking to support this agenda, but I would like to see the other things in the agenda before I can support it, because I just really think that it's a money trap, in the poor neighborhoods, and that people do slow down around schools and school buses and school children. And when they see school buses, people do slow down. I don't think that's a problem amongst anybody. But I just feel that that it's directed towards poor neighborhoods, and is a trap. That's going to actually end up having people removed from their license because they can't afford to pay a fine. And I'd just like to see more into this before I can support it.
Okay, Kathy Brown.
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the city has already put these parameters in place.
Right.
We as a school board have wherewithal to change these parameters, right? And so I signed on for this resolution because I thought it was, already an area where the city devised it, have any control over that. I was looking at the bottom line number, that if they're making $18 million, then we are subject to get some of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, good luck with that one, because I did do some research to ask if there was anything written in that law, and it's certainly, I was told that there's nothing in the law. So I think that, considering that that we are the city's at this point, that whatever we asked, it should be an easy fix. That there shouldn't be a problem, particularly since our, I got you, Jennifer, since our funds are sustaining the city at this point. Easy fix for them to at least make sure that Buffalo Public Schools is looked out for some of the time, okay? Some of the time. So if you'd like to, someone would like to move it forward so we can take our vote on it, we need a motion.
Just Sharon,
Yes, Dr. Cash.
that issue you just talked about, that's work for the ad hoc committee on revenue and budget and, you know, looking for additional revenue. That's clear work for that ad hoc committee.
We're on it. Trust me, it came up.
I spoke on it.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Cash. Can we get a motion to accept the resolution? Who's making the motion? Whose hand is up? Hope, would you make?
Yes,
Okay, who made the resolution?
Larry.
For the record, Larry, and who seconded?
I'll second. Oh, Hope.
I
Jay
did.
Okay, all in favor? Or do we need a roll call vote? Because we have some, do we need a roll call vote? I suggest a roll call vote. Nate?
Yeah, I would suggest that. And so I'll begin. Dr. Evans Brown, how do you vote on the resolution?
He couldn't hear you.
Dr. Evans Brown?
I think you're on mute.
She's saying yes with her mouth.
I know, but for the public.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
now.
How do you
Still
vote,
could-
Dr. Evans Brown?
She can't.
What's going on?
Okay.
That's a yes.
Should I move on, or did she say? Did you
Yes,
say
she
yes?
said yes. She said yes.
Yes.
With her thumb up.
All right. Mr. Hurd,
No.
Ms. J,
Yes.
Ms. McCosey,
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci,
While I support student safety and many things in the resolution, no.
Dr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Woods,
Yes.
and President Belton Cotman.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we are, Nate, do we have any executive session material today?
No, not tonight, President
Okay.
Belton Cotman.
All right. So I wanted to, earlier I didn't get a chance to speak, and then we'll open it up for general discussion or whatever people want to share, and then we'll do our list of agreements and we will conclude our meeting. I wanted to be clear about what's being said in regards to the Buffalo Academy of Science. And what I'm hearing is that an organization, it's okay. What I'm hearing is it's okay for people to accept funds and not treat everyone in the public fair to ultimately cream and cherry pick and return students back to Buffalo Public Schools. Please, whoever's hand is up, bring it down so that we can know if there's someone new who wants to come up. And so what I want to do is I want to go on record to say that the conversation needs to be about making sure that all children have the opportunity to take advantage of any public dollars that comes into this city or this area of education. And that has simply not been the case when it comes to the charter schools for the most part, particularly when we take a look at the audacity to try to compare yourselves to Buffalo Public Schools, whose Data supports that we educate all children. Our special ed ratio in this district hovers around 23, 25% in any given period. Our L rate is upwards of around 17, 18%. And then for you to boast are outdoing Buffalo Public Schools without putting out the true fact that you have systematically for over decades excluded children from being educated. The citizens should be upset about, not about just the 700 children, but the other children who were not allowed the opportunity to even attempt to even be allowed in the building because of their special needs or their ability not to speak this language. So what I want to say is that I have a concern when I see people out here talking about that they're looking out, or they're freedom fighters, and they're people who care about people, and they've spent their lives or their careers around this, and then all of a sudden you get absent-minded and forget the fact that you're part of a system that discriminates. The NAACP is on record to say that they have a problem with the process associated with the money being received, the guidelines that they're excluded from following, and in addition to that, the children who are not receiving a comparable education. Then I don't understand why little minds in Western New York do not understand the impact of what's going on. We cannot continue to allow to exist in this city equities. It's time out. After 16 years, Buff Sci-Fi, you are at a 12% special ed ratio, 8% L ratio. In 2017, you were at 11% special ed ratio and a 9% L. So let's have the conversation about how children are being excluded from the formula and not included. And then when you want to compare numbers, compare the numbers. But at this point, you cannot compete with us. You cannot stand in the same arena with us because you're not educating the same group of children in the same percentages that we are. It's unacceptable what's going on right now in this conversation. I have, for any parent who feels that they selected a school with the understanding that they felt that there was going to be an additional grade in there. But I also have a problem with people who are out saying that they are leaders, community advocates, disclaim who they are. When Sharon Belton Cotman goes to speak, everyone knows that I get a check from the Board of Education for the great work that I do in the amount of $10,000 a year. 15,000. Oh, that's right. The county council gave themselves 25,000, and they're used. Oh, excuse me. I'm about to get on my soapbox. And now we're at the point where they gave themselves $25,000. They need to use our money and didn't think enough of us to give us at least a basic salary comparable to someone else. But other people are out here saying that they are advocates. Why don't you just explain who's in your pocket? Why don't you just tell it up front? So, you know, this conversation is really to the with me that it's becoming personal because to talk about where the schools are not doing well. They're just talking about what they want to do. And that's what the NAACP President Johnson said in itself. So I'm not going to argue the fact that the Board of Regents made a decision. What I am going to say is that maybe if the application had not come in so strong, maybe if they had not approved you for an additional school, maybe if you had not been so aggressive and tried to take too much of the pie, you may not have this conversation. We cannot continue to play this game. We have to stand up for Buffalo Public Schools. We will have the same problems that all the other school districts in the state that have had when the charter schools come into play and take the money and run home. It's time out. Okay, we have to have a conversation in this community about making sure all children have access to education, not the select few, you know, that exist in certain charter schools. So I'm on record with that. thing I wanted to talk during my time about is I'm working with Rich Fanton on putting together a fraud, waste, and abuse policy or resolution, which we will be presenting. And I want it to be that my goal in doing this is to make sure that this district is that we're running a district as efficiently as possible, and that's what my concern is. But ultimately, my concern as a board member has always been about making sure that children have access, and it is not easy. But when I see an intentional practice going on for decades after decades after decades, my heart is a little hardened in regards to that. And so I just want you guys to know I'm sick and tired of the rhetoric that's being said. Tell the truth that you have not educated all children and that they have been discriminated against, and then we can have conversations about it. Just maybe if you fix that problem, maybe the Board of Regents would not have looked the other way and said that maybe it's time for you to reassess yourself. Thank you. So anyone else, do you have anyone else have anything else to share today that they would like to know? Oh, I got one other thing. I had a volunteer who committed $3,000 to the district. He wants to remain anonymous. He donated it to the Ferry District. And we were able to, I talked to Dr. Cash on how to address it and how to approach it. We reached out to principals in the Ferry District, and they provided names, and over 75 families received TOPS gift cards. And I want to thank that anonymous donor because he did not have to do that. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it too. Yeah, so that's what else I wanted to share. And I will be issuing a report, and I will share it with the board so that you can see the people who did, well, the amount of children, not their personal names, but the amount of children that did receive it. Wanted to share that with you also. Are there any other things that we want to discuss before we do our list of bereavements? Yes, Mr. Scott.
Just one question. I was expecting for us to get an update on the status of the BEST contract negotiations. I don't know if
Dr. Cash, has anything happened with BEST since our last conversation?
No.
No, I didn't. Okay, you guys have not met. Okay.
No, this is, as I sent an email out to the board, I think, because you received correspondence, from the BEST president, and we're very close in terms of.
Should we be talking about this in open session?
No, I prefer to do it. I'm not going to say anything that I wouldn't otherwise say, and I think that just for sake of clarity, we put things on hold temporarily, while we straighten out our budget situation and see how that's going to shake out. But if you'd want to have a further update, I would suggest we do that in executive session.
Is there anything to further update? You haven't met, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Is that satisfactory, Larry?
Yeah, I just that maybe for our next meeting would like that to be on the agenda for us to get an update on where we're moving, or where this is going.
Understood.
Okay. Mr. Lou Petrucci, you have the list of bereavements in front of you. We can't hear, Lou, we can't hear you.
Thank you, Sharon. I didn't know if Terrence had his hand up or not.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Terrence.
did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it, Terrence.
That was okay. Mr. President, also, where we stand at, I know you asked last week for the letter from the Section 6 about the future of Section 6 sports. And I know there was an agreement that was reached. We was told, so I would like to know where we at with that to formulate a letter for it. I have stakeholders who's asking questions, pertaining to Section 6 sports and our future. There's something concrete.
Dr. Cass, have you met with Section 6 since last Wednesday or had any conversations with them? in regards to this? Nate, have you guys met or anything in regards to Section 6 at this point since
Colleagues,
last week,
our
Wednesday?
representatives are meeting all the time with Section 6. So like I said, what I would recommend is at the next Education Support Committee meeting, you invite Michael House and Cecily Owens to the meeting, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Cash.
Thank you.
Any other business? Okay, so we're going to do a moment of silence, and I'm going to stand up this time if that's what I should do, and in honor of our bereaved people. Lou, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Cotman. I'm going to stand up when I'm done reading them because I have them on the table in front of me. February 20th, Epifania Bonilla Vasquez, grandmother of Giovanna Claudio Cotto, assistant principal at McKinley High School. February 12th, Johnny Elizabeth Watson, grandmother of Charlene Watson, principal at Burgard Vocational High School. Also, a grandmother of Charlotte Watson Wales and Elizabeth Watson, teachers in the district, and Charmaine Watson, a school clerk in the Buffalo Public Schools. Margaret Frazier, aunt of Charlene Watson, principal at Burgard Vocational. Also, aunt of Charlotte Watson Wales and Elizabeth Watson's, teachers in our district, and Charmaine Watson, a clerk in our district. Henry Hyde, husband of Ann Hyde, retired associate account clerk. March 21st, Georgie Walker, mother of Sonia Walker, teacher at Futures Academy. April 2nd, Ronald Peoples, retired BPS educator and father of Dr. Monica Peoples, a retired BPS administrator. April 2nd, Deacon Curtis A. Croxbury, brother of Jody Covington, my apologies, principal at Buffalo Academy of Visual and Performing Arts. April 3rd, William Stack, son of retiree Margaret Neslin, brother of Cynthia Turton, manager of systems operations and IT, and Lori Conroy, supervisor of security and a South Buffalonian. April 4th, Catherine Phillips Russ, mother of Elizabeth Curtis, special education teacher, Buffalo Elementary School of Technology. April 4th, Maria Scott, grandmother Diana Colsanta, supervisor of student placement and registration. April 5th, Patricia Winkler, kindergarten teacher at Waterfront Elementary School as of the time the school opened until her retirement after 30 years of service. April 6th, Victoria Zarzesny, mother of Melissa Saad, a social studies teacher at Lewis J. Bennett School of Innovative Technology. April 6th, Michelle Bowling, sister of Crystal Barton, principal at McKinley High School. April 6th, Victoria Richardson, cousin of Cecily Owens, assistant supervisor of physical education, health, and athletics. April 8th, Nelson Lucas, cousin of Amber Berry, assistant principal at ECC number 17. April 8th, Louis Walk, mother-in-law of Michael Morris, assistant principal at South Park High School. April 17th, Nell Kayla, mother of Eleanor Kayla Buscarino, special assistant to superintendent for public relations. April 22nd, Kathy Roth, retired school psychologist. April 23rd, Donnie Hill, retired teacher and brother of Linda Carney, account clerk typist for plant services. April 24th, Jose Rivera Sr., father of Jose Rivera Jr., art teacher at Lydia Wright School of Excellence and Emerson School of Culinary Arts. May 2nd, John A. Albarella Jr., twin of Jacqueline Albarella, media communications teacher at Lewis J. Bennett School of Innovative Technology. May 2nd, Elsa Williams, mother of Fabiola Friot, social worker at Emerson Culinary Arts High School. May 2nd, Luz Morales, mother of Linda Mercado, secretary to the superintendent. May 3rd, Bernice Buknowski, mother of Martin Buknowski, assistant principal at iPrep School number 198, and mother-in-law to Mary Carmen Buknowski, E&L teacher at School 48. May 9th, Patricia Ann Gremlick, mother of Joanne Gremlick, special teacher or speech teacher at Harvey Austin. May 12th, Carlson McAnally, grandfather of Russell DeMarco, special education teacher at MST High School, and Joseph Malfasi, instructional technology coach and BPS carpenter. May 13th, Lucy Mott, mother of Kim Jones, social worker at Performing Arts. We also have on April 23rd, Herbert F. Small, father of Kathy Evans Brown, East District Board member. March 25th, Emma Franklin, mother of Joanne Sweat, president of the Best Union, and mother-in-law Romana Franklin, a teacher in our district. At this moment, I ask everyone for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If all minds are clear, we will conclude our meeting. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your support. We're doing great work in this district. Mr. Hurd, is your hand up? Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So if all minds are clear, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, Dr. Cash and staff. Thank you, board members. Bye-bye.
Thank
God
you.
bless. Stay safe.